Hey, welcome back to SkillCast. I have Michelle Underwood here with us today. She is a local lightning real estate agent. That's what I hear. And the #1 maker of homemade scratch cinnamon rolls, and also an up and coming Ticket to Ride enthusiast. So, shout out to that. Thank you for coming and
Thanks for
talking
having
to
me.
us.
Yeah.
I appreciate that what we get to talk about a little bit today is your story, but also your connection into a career that people can get connected to that maybe they haven't considered before. Um, or maybe in some people's cases, they actually know people who have real estate experience. And this is going to be a little bit of a more deeper dive into what does that life look like? Why did you choose that? Before we get into that and where you are today, I like to kind of go backwards if I could, so that we get to know the real Michelle.
Okay.
Not everything, just a few things.
Here we go.
Okay. Most people, when they think about their current career, they also kind of can imagine what life was like leading up to that. And so I want to ask you, like, what was high school like for you? Did you like it? What were you thinking about at life that during that time?
Well, that seems like forever ago, actually. I mean, I graduated college 20 years ago, so that's even before that. But I loved high school. I remember crying when I graduated because I had so much fun in high school. But I went to a small private school, college too, but high school. And we were
What
all
was your
friends.
graduating class?
25.
20. Oh, we
Mhm.
we had double that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and we felt small.
Yeah. Oh, it was very small, but our class was perfect. Not like in character and all of that. Just like we had really neat connections. Still to this day, I still talk to many of them, hang out with them. Like we had kids together. So it's really sweet.
Tell us about your parents' involvement and what did they do and what was their feeling about you moving forward beyond high school?
There was not really life other than college in my home. My dad is an attorney. My mom was in the school system. She actually taught at the school that I went to, and so they had to have college degrees to do those careers. So they met in college, and my sister and I were under the assumption that we were gonna go to school and that was the only option. There was no other option. And really back in 2001, that was the assumption, period, in the world. To get a job, you had to have a degree. So they were very helpful though in my figuring out what I wanted to do. I remember my mom sat me down with this book. It had this, I just found it actually last week. A career placement book, like what are your characteristics or what are you good at? And then it was a quiz, like all the magazines had the quizzes. That was the thing back then. And so it quizzed on, do you enjoy organizing? Do you enjoy math? Do you enjoy all these things? And then they gave recommendations afterwards. And so it showed me, I mean, we already knew that I was detailed and organized and all of those things, but it kind of pointed us in a path. So that was the first thing.
Yeah, it's kind of helpful to confirm some of those attributes about you from a different perspective that has no like bias,
Emotion?
yeah, or
Yeah,
emotion.
yeah.
Definitely. Like it was a like is what was the one I did not that long ago, like the ENFJ or whatever
It
it
was
was, that kind of
close.
thing.
It was close.
All right,
Yeah.
that's super great. So what did it guide you towards?
It guided me towards business because it wasn't the major. Business administration didn't necessarily have a job at the end. That's something that I'm like thinking about as I help my kids in the future. Like if you're going to go to school, secondary school, you need to know what job you want after because you're not just going to get a communications degree. Like what does that get you? Right. So, but I knew I wanted to do something with events. I like to plan vacations. I like to coordinate things, all of that, whatever, parties.
Were you like coordinating a vacation as a high
Oh,
schooler?
yeah.
Whoa, that's totally different than I think anything I could have done.
Yeah, it was so fun. I found a house for like these 4 families that went together. I
Yeah.
picked the place. I had a budget, all the things.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, that was pretty obvious.
Right.
As what you should be doing.
Right.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But I remember too my mom saying to me, I mean, she was no joke. Like she is the kindest soul ever. But she, when I was 15, told me to get my church clothes on because I wore uniforms. And get my church clothes on. I didn't know why. It was some random day. And I get in the car and she said, "Yeah, we're going to find you a job today." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So we drove around and found, where I wanted to apply and got a job that day. But
What did you find?
McDonald's.
Of course. It was
Who hired
right?
Yeah, who hires 15-year-olds? Anyway, in regards to, like, what I wanted to do in college, though, I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. And so she also said, "Okay, well, we're gonna find you an office to sit in and volunteer at for a month," I think it was.
The conversation that we had was just so happy for me to hear you explain that. And I wanted to make sure that you highlighted it because you even talked about, you know, maybe I want to be a physical therapist.
Mhm.
Could you talk about that experience a little bit that your mom helped you with?
Yeah, I thought I wanted to do that. I played sports all in high school, the whole year. I was a three-letter athlete at this small school. So what is that? But anyway, yeah, so she said, "Okay, you want to be a physical therapist? Here, this is where you're going to volunteer to see if you even like it." And I went and I hated it. Like it was the worst experience of my life. And so I knew that I didn't want to pursue that because
How long did you do that, do you think? Before I mean, you probably hated it immediately if
oh,
that
for sure.
but how long did your mom make you do that
I
before?
had to fulfill my commitment. Like I went in saying I'll volunteer for a month, and so I had to stay the
Oh,
whole month.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a grueling month.
It was.
Your parents were so involved
Mhm.
that they wanted to create experiences for you and get you get you in a job, but also get you into the career that you're kind of envisioning yourself to be in.
Mhm.
It's such a tough thing to do, I
It
think.
is, 'cause you have to push your kids.
Yeah.
You have to My 15-year-old, I have to push her to do things that she doesn't wanna do, and I can only imagine, like, at the end of that month, what my mom would have to do to get me there, you know? But my dad is an attorney, and we didn't talk about this before. I worked in his office, and so I saw all of the things that went on with that, and I wanted nothing to do with it. It was just not my cup of tea, so
Yeah, yeah. What was it about it?
the people were really hard to work with. He has this patience. He's a um, disability Social Security attorney, and so uh, it wasn't the right fit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it requires a lot of patience to get through
Empathy.
trials like that, empathy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Something.
good in a dad to have
Yeah.
a deep amount of empathy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so I mean, what a wonderful involvement from your parents helped you discover these things. I think, as I have 4 kids from 9 to 2, I think about that and trying to create inroads and opportunities for them to really experience it. Because it is really tough to determine what it is that you're going to do at 18. I think that phrase is pretty well known now, but what are the solutions to that? So maybe the next step, one of those would be maybe something you experience. So for me, many of the people who were in the skilled trades were telling me no longer don't go into the skilled
Yes.
trades.
Yes.
So that's not a vote of confidence
Correct.
to consider plumbing or like
Correct.
my dad is probably the most prominent person that he wants the best for me,
Correct.
and being a car mechanic at the time, he didn't have a great experience with that. And here today on this podcast, I've had 2, 3 people that we've interviewed that have had great experiences with that.
Sure.
So some of that is context and maybe times have changed as well. There's this interesting there. But that's all I wanted to see is, you kind of see that the sphere of influence
For sure.
is really, really important. And, still it is today, although I feel like it's probably shifting a bit.
I think so. I think the gig economy also, when did that even evolve? the last 10 years for sure, when people are saying, oh, well, I have this job, it's not meeting my needs, I need to go do something else. And they're creating these different jobs from home. I think that has changed culture's perspective. I mean, in my industry, even now, we value skilled trades because we need them to make real estate better. The house is better. And
Yes,
so,
yes, yeah, more of them. Just
correct,
that, yeah.
correct.
All right, so you ended up going to college. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you decided to major in then? Because you got these wonderful experiences in high school, and further, like, where did you decide to go?
Sure. So I went to Mount Vernon Nazarene University, which is just north of Columbus. I met my husband there, but I decided to just do a blanket business administration degree.
Yeah.
And then my minor was in family consumer sciences. They called it the MRS degree. You're going to look to cook and clean, learn how to cook and clean and all the things. So I did that. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was great fun.
Cinnamon rolls.
Correct. We
Yes,
did
there it is.
cinnamon rolls. We did them in class. We made them, yes.
That's where it was. Awesome.
But yeah, it was a great experience. So business administration. And then sophomore and junior year, I went to Chicago to intern at, do you know Willow Creek Association?
yes,
It's
yeah.
a large church that has a leadership conference. And so I helped produce their conference there. So that, they fostered that event planning.
Yeah, and that's was kind of your goal,
Correct.
from talking to you before, was
Correct.
kind of understood that about yourself. Again, I'm gonna just double down on the point that you were planning people's vacations in high school, but then
Just my family's high school vacations, yes. But
my family would not, at that time, want me involved in the planning at all. That's crazy talk.
okay.
But so that's something unique about you for sure. But that led you into event planning
It did.
after college for one company, right?
Yep. Out of college, I obtained a job in event planning at ASM International. It's a metal forming association. So yeah, the geodesic dome in Burton, Bainbridge, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So not too far from here, and it's very obvious when you pass by it, that it's not obvious at all what they do, but it's very obvious dome-like structure. Very interesting. So what was ASM, and more importantly, what did you do for them and what did you enjoy about that?
I got to travel with the company because I was in events. So they wanted to further education in the metal forming industry. And so companies would pay an association due to learn or to go to these events to learn. And so I was in the events department and I helped with registration and shipping. So we made sure everyone was registered and shipped all of the gear that we needed for these seminars or education classes for people
Yeah.
to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what I get to do now is part of it is a little bit to travel the country and get to see new things, from the West Coast to East Coast and the South, and all three are completely different from one another. But very interesting. Yeah, to have that experience, I think, to take that back. And you, like me, you live now where you grew up or near
It's
to where you
true.
grew up.
Yep.
And I think it's helpful to have had that experience, definitely.
Definitely.
Okay, so you're not doing that now.
No, I'm not.
So thread us to that moment. Why did you leave ASM?
I met another event planner who worked at a different association. It's called Precision Metal Forming Association. And so she, to grow my career, asked if I wanted to jump ship and go to this other association. So I said, sure. It grew my career. But then in 2008 or 2009, I can't remember, the economy kind of imploded. And so I lost my job.
Wow.
Yes. It was great. Who wanted events at that time when nobody had any money to do anything?
Yeah.
And so my husband decided to go back to school at the time, and we were pregnant, and we were buying our first house, and we
Perfect
kind of
time for the
hated it.
economy to collapse.
Yes, it was great.
Oh my gosh.
So I took a job as a receptionist at a marketing firm, Rosetta, and then I had our firstborn. And my husband and I decided well before we had any kids that I was gonna stay home.
Yeah.
And so I tried. I tried my hardest to stay home, but I was so bored. I was so bored. That's around the time that I met your sister.
Did that surprise you?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be that mom that oohed and awed over her child, and it was delightful. It's delightful to be a parent, but I was not that. Yeah.
So
So
pretty soon you recognized that.
oh, in the first month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had lists of things I needed to do. I called my mom all the time. "What am I supposed to do with my day? I'm bored." So, yeah, I needed to use my adult brain. That's what I say because I couldn't just go grocery shopping all the time, and so a couple who helped us buy our first house, they said, "Well, why don't you come work for us?" They were in real estate, and I said, "Okay, well, this is all the capacity that I have. I have no idea, what it's gonna look like with a 6-month-old, being my first time mom, what to do and how much to give." And so 10 hours a week was all that I had, and they took it, and from there it grew.
What were the things that you were doing at that time? Sometimes I find in other kinds of trades as well, you maintain your status quo, whatever that is for you, but you can kind of dip yourself into another skill that you've learned. And like you said, maybe a gig economy kind of a thing. You can do it in small form. That takes a little, I mean, I don't want to say a little bit. It takes a lot of effort to try to balance those two things and try to meet the responsibilities for both of them that you care deeply about, certainly. But it's something that we always try to encourage people about, that it doesn't have to be like one transition to the next. It can kind of bleed into the rest of your life and still be beneficial.
I think absolutely. I mean, especially in real estate, at that point, I was not licensed, and I was just doing their marketing, if you will. I mean, now that I know what true marketing is, it probably was subpar what I was doing for them, but I was helping in the office. I was scheduling appointments for them. I was taking off those little jobs that they didn't necessarily want to do. But in that, I was learning the business and learning how to help people in that capacity. I had given up event planning completely, but it's crazy how it translates to real estate.
In what ways?
Well, with events, there's a beginning and an end, and then there's all these things that you have to do between, a lot of organizing and all of it. But with houses, too, when I meet you as a buyer or seller, then there's a start and a finish, and there's all these things that you have to do in between. And so if you can keep the process and the details organized and communicated, then it's a smooth transition, much like events.
Yeah, because buying or selling a house is potentially very stressful, also potentially very exciting.
Correct.
It'd be a better experience to keep it more exciting than stressful.
Yes. That's the goal.
Yeah, having someone who can do that well and lead you through it. I know we've had a good experience as well, and we had a bad experience, and juxtaposed from each other, it makes a world of difference. Just the person who's in there, certainly. So you're working about 10 hours a week. Is it obvious at that moment that you want to become a realtor and get your license or not?
No.
Why not?
No. I one, I didn't know if I had the capacity, the time capacity, with
Yeah.
having and growing a family. That was the first obstacle. The second obstacle was I was kind of ashamed of the role or the career.
Talk
And
about that.
well, it's kind of humbling to say out loud, actually, because in my mind, my dad's an attorney, my mom's in administration at a school. She was a principal at the time. My sister's a nurse. My brother-in-law's a doctor. Like, they're very high level educated people. And while I had a degree, I felt that real estate was kind of like one step up from a car salesman. And that's not to put a car salesman down. I think they're necessary in this world, but I just thought, "Oh, am I selling myself a little bit short.
Yeah. Let's
What
make
would
you a
you
little
to
bit more
say?
no, let's make you more comfortable because I went to college and the reason I didn't go into the skilled trades is because I felt that that decision at that time was living below my highest potential as a person. Absolutely. I viewed that with a high level of stigma, knowing that I could always revert back to the skilled trades because it was below me. That's how I felt about it, and I didn't actually realize just how wrong I was and how challenging learning those skills would be, let alone how rewarding it was going to be. So, you're
Absolutely.
amongst friends here
Oh,
to admit it.
I appreciate that. I think it's harder to say out loud than it is in your mind, you know? And so it is humbling. It's very humbling to admit that.
So, but I think the sales part of it is, something we talked about. I felt the same thing. That even like now, I own a business working with training and consulting for boilers, and there's an aspect of that business that I felt I'd be really good at, and there was an aspect that I was really not looking forward to. Or I guess a couple, but one of them that rises to the top is for sales because I just kind of imagined that sales in and of themselves was like that greasy car
Yes.
salesman. It's got a
Yes.
stigma there that
Yes.
everybody kind of gets. But I would say what I have found, and I'd love you to express, is that um, it it's not like a con artist game. That's kinda how I felt about it. It's actually creating solutions for problems.
The problem is I'm stressed about this and I need to get from A to Z. I need to, whether that's upsizing your home because you need an office or your kids are growing, whatever that be. You have to find the solution and hear the people. I think like listening is a huge asset to people when they're in sales and not just blowing over what they are saying, but listening to what they have to say and what they need. But yeah, the stigma, you're right. It was like a greasy, and I didn't want to be that. My first experience with the realtor was not with the couple that hired me, but with another lady from my church. And it was so pressure filled that I said when I got my license, I will not pressure anyone into buying a house because of how I felt when that happened. And so, knowing what I experienced and knowing what I learned, I wanted to blend them so that it was comfortable for people, but that I could help people too.
So help the person because you're doing a good job of it, helping people envision how, you have kind of an alternate path into realty from a stay-at-home mom. You bled into it.
Mhm.
And how you had to reconfigure what you thought about the value of even just in the realm of being in sales and specifically selling homes, which is pretty personal to people. I mean, I think what you can say now is that, like, it, even by the words that you're saying and the life that you live, you're an advocate for a different kind of sale.
Absolutely. One that's honest and trustworthy. Your experience shapes who you want to be. Sales is it's a huge skill that you need in order to get people to like and trust you. That's the goal. You're not selling a house. Because you can't force anybody to buy something they don't like.
Yeah, right.
You're
You can, but then it becomes a miserable life and one where you're always looking over your shoulder,
Oh, yes,
you know?
correct. But you're selling your services
Yeah,
as a realtor and you're selling, your skills.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different.
So help people envision what that process looks like. Maybe I do want to help people find that forever home, or sell, their existing house or whatever that situation might be. You could probably color it better for us as to how personal these things can get. But how does a person,
Get their
get
license?
their license and get into that career?
Sure, on a granular level, you have to go to school. So there's 2 schools in the area and probably 3 that offer the classes. It can be online or in person, whichever you do best with, and then you have to sit for a test.
Okay.
And
How long is that schooling?
It
take?
can be as little as 3 weeks.
Okay.
It's 40-hour of classes.
Gotcha.
Yep,
Okay. So you can pack it in,
you
or
can.
is it the same state by state, or is it specific to a region?
It's specific to a state.
Okay. There you go.
Yep. So every state, there are some states that have reciprocity with each other, but you have to sit for at least the law portion in each state. Ohio does not have reciprocity with anybody.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
it's its own.
Yeah, I get that.
Yes. So once you take your classes, then you have to get one of the brokerages, so the big names, to sponsor you, and that just means that they are willing to take you on as a realtor.
Okay. And from that, so you go to class, you get your license. Is there a period of time that they're like testing you out, or
No.
you're just it's you
It's
all from the start?
It's crazy. Yes, they kind of say, "Here you go. You can sell houses." It's better if you are on a team, in my opinion, because that team hopefully would then show you what you need to do. Classes teach you about real estate, but they don't necessarily help you follow the process when you have a person who wants to hire you. And so at the beginning, it's very daunting. You don't know how to fill out a purchase agreement. You don't know how to fill out a listing agreement. You don't know how to talk to people about what you're doing and what they need to do. And so if you could have a mentor, that's helpful.
How does a person go about finding that, do you think? How did you find that?
Well, it was the couple that I worked for. They pushed me into, not in a bad way, but they encouraged me to get my license because I was giving them business. And so they said, "Well, you could just do this instead of giving us the business." So I did, and then that just grew into being a partner.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you think someone else could find mentorship, do you think?
Well, if they talk to the broker, they would be able to help guide them to someone who would help. My broker asks me all the time, "Do you want to take on another realtor?" I just had a meeting with somebody yesterday, actually, and she said, "What do I need to do?" And I said, "Well, you need to do this. And if you want to talk further, then I'm happy to help you with that."
I was gonna say, you seem like you're nice enough to do that for people. Yeah. So okay, you become a realtor. Can you think of, because I want to compare, when you first started doing that kind of work to maybe now how it is, and think about within that first even year, if you can, a good experience, a bad experience. Were you what did you feel when you made that first sale? What's coming to mind when you first did this?
I'm trying to remember, actually. My first sale was way out in Streetsboro.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
that's
so it was far from Mentor, but I remember not knowing anything, like having to ask somebody to guide me to that next. "Well, what do I do next? Well, what do I do next? I don't understand. Where do I go?" I don't even being in the office for 2 years, I had no idea. I was very unsure of myself. Now I dream about it.
What are the things about this job now that you say you look forward to?
I love, and I just told the buyer this weekend, I love when I can meet them for the first time and walk them through a few houses, and then I go back to it's called the MLS, the multiple listing service, and I can find that house for them. I love it. It's my favorite thing ever. And sometimes it doesn't always work because people's needs change as you go through houses. They think they want something and then it morphs into something else. But that's my favorite. It's my favorite thing.
What's one of the tougher things that you find in this job?
It's very challenging when sellers don't listen. The average person sells one house every 11 years. And real estate changes a lot very quickly. And so even people now think, "Oh, my house is worth $1 million," and it's only worth 200,000. And that's quite extreme for effect. But if you're in an industry every day in and day out, you should be the expert. And so it's hard, it's challenging when we have to allow a seller to maybe experiment with their ideas and then rein them in.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and then
challenging.
they might attribute the loss to something that you've done.
Correct.
Yeah. That's interesting. Both the good and the less good part of your job for you is connected to people. And that's a good note to just, I think, throw out to anybody who's thinking about real estate. It's a people forward business.
Well, you have to have people to sell a house. You can't do real estate without it. I mean, there are jobs in real estate that you can do that don't interface as much with people, but in order to be a realtor, real estate agent, not a realtor, a realtor, you have to be in front of people. You have to call people. You have to talk to people. You have to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about things that you hope to do, like in your coming, let's say, 5 to 10 years? Is there something
That's
kind of
interesting. You asked me that. My coach, I just hired a coach, and his first question was, "What's your 1-year goal? What's your 5-year goal? What's your 10-year goal?" And I thought, "Oh boy, this is challenging. In 10 years, I'll be 52. I'll have like 3 kids in college. I don't know what life looks like. Maybe 4 kids, like in or out of college." So I think it would be really exciting to have a small team. And I don't know what real estate looks like. When I first got into it 11 years ago, 14 years ago, teams were not a thing. It was every man for themselves. Over the last 14 years, now you see a lot of teams. And so I don't know what it will look like. But if I had to have a goal now, it would be have a small team of successful agents who are helping people and changing the industry to be a more ethical, honest, help people industry. That would be really exciting for me to make a change in the industry itself.
I think you should.
I would love to,
Yeah,
but we'll
there's
see.
nothing stopping you. What so are you doing this now full time?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So when I started 11 years ago, it was 10 hours a week. Well, that was 14 years ago, 10 hours a week. Now it's what I do full time.
And this is an oddball question, but it came to mind, so I want to ask it. Do you see right now, and I guess I'm thinking of it because we're talking about what's coming in the future
Hmm.
and how is this thing going to be structured, maybe with teams or whatever. Is there a way right now that AI is playing any kind of change in your day to day or how you perceive it's going to change when we maybe have more confidence in it?
100%. I went to a class last week on AI and how realtors can use it every day. Um, there's all the different platforms out there. This one was on ChatGPT, but I had an experience with a buyer this year. It was in the summer, and he said, Michelle, every time I tell you what I want my offer to be, I ask ChatGPT what it should be, and then it looks at all the surrounding data, and sometimes it was right and sometimes it wasn't. And AI is great. It's great to help, but you still have to use your brain too. And so in this class I went to, they said, don't forget to do your job as a licensed realtor. So like AI can't negotiate for you. You still have to do that. It can't write your offer for you. You still have to do that. But as far as like marketing tools, it's going to be huge. I just asked it to edit this blog post that I wrote or a script for a video that I'm going to do. And so it's really helpful. It's really helpful, at least in that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's helped us create uh, a longer reach, definitely, and be able to do more things and focus us on rather than as much generation of things, we can be focused on the creativity of it and the discernment of it as well and how it gets out there. But yeah, I'm just always interested to see what's happening there. So when a person's viewing this, I kind of wonder for them, maybe what's going through their mind is, what type of a person should be a realtor?
It's a great question. I think it's always good to look at those personality tests. In this case, I'm most familiar with the DISC assessment in real estate because in the DISC assessment, you should be high in one category and low in others. That doesn't mean that you can't do it if you're not. It just means you have to be a people person. You have to be willing to take criticism and brush it off. You have to be a forward thinker and a self-starter. No one's pushing you to do it. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, that's the most amazing thing to me that I have seen about realtors is that it's something that is common to people's life in the sense that many people own or want a house, and so many people know realtors to
The American dream.
yeah. But like you do a small business. I mean, you
Correct.
own that, and like you say, no one is telling you to get out of bed ultimately except for yourself in that, more than maybe punching in a clock or something like that.
No
So,
clock.
yeah. Except probably more clocks some days, right?
Well, there's no punch in and out. You're working until your client is done. So if you're negotiating a house, sometimes I've shown houses at 10 o'clock at night before because that's when they can. So there's no set schedule for people. Yeah.
So for that kind of lifestyle, I know matching a person to their house is one of the greatest joys. What are the things that it gives you and your family then?
It gives us a lot, actually. It's not without sacrifice, but it allows us to do things that we may not be able to afford otherwise. My oldest plays club volleyball. That's not cheap. We've gone on some really cool vacations that are not cheap. We've been able to host people or give to people that we wouldn't be able to do, to help. So it's given us great opportunity.
Having additional income, both people working together to make that household income is amazing.
Yeah, my husband recently started his own CPA tax practice. And so it has also allowed us to get him to start that without the pressure of income.
I mean, good for him, but good for you because
Yeah.
obviously you helped to support him in that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That's amazing.
It's exciting.
All right, so as we end this podcast at Skill Stigma, we always want to encourage people to have more options. We feel like we're trying to give good news about good jobs in unexpected places. And so this is your job, right? How can you platform your job to the world out there? What would you say to a person who's maybe considering to take an alternate path, from college and maybe look at realty? How could you give that person good news to go into it?
Well, it's an exciting business. It's an exciting career, one that you can grow tremendously in. And also the forecast for next year, the economic forecast for housing next year is there will be 400,000 new purchases or sales. So it's growing. It doesn't mean real estate as far as realtors are growing, but it's a great time to consider getting into it because there are more opportunities for good people to be invested in this career.
I love it. Absolutely. Take advantage of that. Thank you for your time and for sharing your experience.
Yeah, it's been a privilege.
All right,
Thank
cheers.
you.
Thanks for watching our video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe us on our channels. And if you want to continue the conversation to find out if there's a skilled trade that's built for your future career, be sure to pick up our book called Skill Stigma at skillstigma.com.